Hello and good night to everyone. My name is Bruno Oliveira. I'm a student and part of Professor Chuck's class of International Wine and Culture for the fall of 2023 here at USF. So this presentation will be my final project for this class. This class that is so special in the middle of all this mess and stress that can be a senior year in college. Being able to take a class like this, it's probably one of my favorite moments, and I'll take forever with me all the knowledge I'll apply to my life. I'm already applying right away. So a big thanks to Professor Chuck for all the patience, and I hope you guys like it. So let's start here. Next slide. So before we start talking about anything wine related and analysis and how to be a sommelier and all this very specific stuff, we're going to start from the basics. One of the, if I'm not mistaken, it was the second journal we had to do for the semester. We had to do 50 words related to wine to actually start understanding the vocabulary a little bit. And here I actually chose the 10 words that I use the most. I'm already applying to my life. I'm already impressing my girlfriend with my knowledge. And let me put it right here so you guys can see it. So the first of the 10 words that I selected would be the acidity. I'm Brazilian, so sorry for my pronunciation. But acidity would be the level of natural acids in wines, providing freshness and balance. So whenever you taste the wine, you can feel right away if it's acid, how it feels in your tongue. So it's very important that you're familiar with this term, especially when tasting wines. The body, this is very important. It's the weight and texture of the wine. Categorized light, medium, or full body. This is also a sensation you feel when tasting wine. And a little bit more in front of this presentation, we're gonna go over one of the wine tastings we had to do for the class. I'm gonna use a lot of this term. The cork is the kind of wood on top of the wine that is traditional stopper for wine bottles. You've seen it, you know it. It's just the name. The crew is actually very important. You're gonna see written a lot in the label of many wines, and it's a vineyard or wine producing area of high quality. So if you're drinking a wine from a crew, it's because you're drinking something good. Decanting, this is a very important part of the wine tasting experience, right? Is the transferring the wine from the bottle to a decanter, which is a bottle open, to separate sediment and allow it to breathe. So it has have contact with oxygen. It also affects a lot the tasting. Therefore, it's very important you guys keep it in mind. Fermentation is the process where the yeast converts sugars into alcohol and carbon dioxide. This is a very important part of the wine production phase. All right. The harvest is the grape picking season, affecting wine sweetness and acidity. So it's gonna vary from when the grapes were collected. The oak aging is when you leave the wine inside the oak barrels to age, and therefore they're gonna have a little bit of the oak taste. Sommelier, as I told you before, it's a trained wine professional responsible for wine serving and pairing. So he's the guy who's gonna help you in a restaurant, which wine is gonna match which dish, and how you can have a best experience. And the terroir, it's a unique environmental factor shaping a wine's character. We're gonna talk a lot about this in this presentation. So here I put together some traditional wine countries. This was very important for understanding of the class. Here you can see the reason these countries are traditional right here in the map. It's because of the climate. It's because of the temperatures that enable the grapes to grow and be adequate for the wine production. So one of the most famous regions would be France, where most of the wine comes from. It comes from Bordeaux, Burgundy, Champagne, and Loire Valley. So it's mostly known for its red blends. Burgundy is from Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Champagne for sparkling wine, and the Loire Valley for diverse styles, including Sauvignon Blanc and Chenin Blanc. So a very diverse area of wine producing. Probably the second most famous wine country would be Italy. And the regions are, besides being very beautiful, the wines are unbelievable. Most of them are my favorite. The Brunello di Montalcino, I'm gonna talk over here, is one of my favorites. I have it for special occasions. But the regions are Tuscany, Piedmont, Veneto, and Sicilia. It's an island. Uh, Another very famous country would be Spain. They're right next to each other, as we can see in the map over here. They're right next to each other. So pretty much all this area of the Occidental, the Western Europe, it's very known because of this weather, because of the land. Everything enables the wine to be great. Spain, we have Rioja, Ribera del Cuello, Catalonia, and Jerez, which are cities that are very famous for it. And I wanted to, because I'm Brazilian, I'm South American, and I have a lot of contact to South American wines. I chose Chile because one of my favorite ones that we're gonna talk about here that I did the tasting, it's from Chile. So it's the Casillero del Diablo. Again, it's in the south hemisphere, but again, the same conditions to as we can see in Europe up here. And some mentions about Uruguay and even south of Brazil are very rich in producing wine as well. One thing that we had to do for this class, which was very great, was wine tasting. We had to be kind of a sommelier and getting details about wine. So I chose my personal favorite to day. I usually have it twice a week, once a week, just to de-stress a little bit after a very heavy week. I'm a professional tennis player of practicing, so I think it's very important. And during my tasting, I pretty much realized some great aspects about this wine. So it's a very dry wine. You can feel it in your tongue. You kind of want to have some water with it to make your experience a little bit better. It's acid. You can see its pH is very low. You can feel it in your tongue as well, the acidity. In my opinion, it's a very light wine. It's not classified. It's kind of in the middle if you look and if you search over it. But in my perspective, it's a very light wine. I love it. That's why I have it in my day-to-day basis. And when it's smelling, when you let it rest in the glass and you smell it, you can feel it in your nose, some citrus and a little bit of burn. That was my personal opinion. I already delivered my project to Professor Chuck, and I think if you tried, let me know, because I would like to know what you think about my feelings. Moving on, so we have a lot of great varieties, especially in white wine. All right, so I put together the four of them that I like the most. They're very interesting. It'd be a Chardonnay. It's usually from France, and you can feel a crisp and citrusy to rich and buttery. All right, flavors encompass green apple, melon, and hints of vanilla. So it's kind of a very light type of wine. Sauvignon Blanc, it's the Casillero del Diablo. We're gonna talk about it. We just talked about it actually. It's a Sauvignon Blanc. And it's great, as I already gave you guys a little bit of the experience. Riesling, it's from origin is for Germany, and I wanted to put it here to put a wine grape that comes from a different area besides the ones that we talked about. It's known for its sweetness and acidity, and making it incredibly food friendly. So guys that have a girlfriend, this is a very good choice for if you want to impress and put a good dinner. And Viognier is associated with the Rhone Valley in France that we talked about, and it offers a rich and aromatic experience. Moving on, we have a little bit of the red wine grapes, Cabernet Sauvignon, originally from Bordeaux, France. It's very, very known. It's a full body with firm tannins, and it ages gracefully over the years. This is very interesting. It's one of my personal favorites. If you can try it. Merlot. It's classic from Bordeaux, but Argentina has some great Merlots. I personally love that as well. In South America, it's very easy to access them. So they offer a softer and fruity forward profile compared to Cabernet Sauvignon. So a good alternative. Pinot Noir, also originated from Burgundy, France, and it's an elegant wine in complex. It's medium body, soft tannins, and reflecting the terroir in the winemaking techniques. And I wanted to put a grape grown in the United States, California, Zinfandel. It's primarily grown in California, and it's a bold and fruity wine. Moving on, we had to do for this class a project. There was we had to create our own wine business, our own wine mart, and from growing until the store. So here are a little bit of the steps that I learned through the process. First, you have to find the ideal land. It will definitely affect the characteristics of the land definitely affect your wine. Then you have to decide what grape will be cultivated. You're going to match the land or not. Then you hire a workforce. Moving on, you have the production cost, the cultivation, crafting, all waiting for the harvest. All of that is going to cost a lot of money, so you have to have a planning for that and budgeting. After that is bottling and packaging. How you bottle and how you package is going to be very important, especially to dictate the price of your wine. So this is very, very interesting. More complex bottles, we're going to follow up with more expensive wines. Then you have shipping and taxes, and then you have the distribution markup. Then you need to balance profits with accessibility, and then you get a profit so you can keep growing your wine and actually growing your experience. Here, for this class, we also had to do an amazing project that was building your dream dinner. So here I selected a little bit. The appetizer would be Italian bruschetta, and I chose a Frescine Prosecco, which is a very light white wine to open the appetite for this dinner. The second course would be a black truffle fettuccine. I also, Italian dish, Italian wine. I chose a Brunotto Barolo. I tasted in Italy. Voila, amazing. The third course would be a herb-crusted lamb rack. And the pairing, I chose a French wine, Bordeaux, classic. There's no way to miss it. And with desserts, dulce de leche with petit gâteau with a Taylor Flagegate 2016, which is my favorite for desserts. It's a wine from Porto, Portugal. Very sweet. It's a dessert wine, world famous. So that's my tip for you guys. That would be my dream dinner. Moving on, we have to watch. Professor Chuck asked us to watch some movies for this class, and it was great. I learned a lot from it. It was a great and different way to learn from it. So here I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Mondovino, it's great. It's actually great. Film emphasizes the concept of terroir. So it talks about how the classic wine production from the 1800s and it was great, and now the wine. One of my favorite quotes when they state the wine is dead, mainly because of the commercial issues and the new ways of producing it. It's changing the traditions from early ages and changing the whole experience. So that was my favorite quote. It's very, very nice. Talks about the land and how it dictates the wine experience. Sideways was very good. It was filmed in California, and it had actually a very impact. I did a lot of research on it. And after the movie, people loved it so much that Merlot and Pinot Noir sales just increased through the roof. And it led to a decline in Merlot consumptions, which was crazy, right? A movie can dictate the taste, the consumer behavior. Walking the Clouds by Alfonso Cuarón, 1995. It's a classic. It talks about the Napa Valley vineyards, and it talks a little bit about how wine can change the culture and how it fulfills the culture of a society. So the movie goes around the marriage between Victoria and Paul. Victoria is very traditional American-Mexican family, and he has some issues with the traditions. And Paul is a guy coming back from the war. So he goes over this narrative, and wine just revolves it with this culture and all this great thing that wine brings, right? It complements our culture. The movies, Are You in Burgundy is actually one of my favorites. I watched it. I loved it. I put the photo right here, my personal indication for you guys. And it just pretty much just talks about consumer changing consumer preference, competition, and the delicate balance. So picking up where we left, we had some technical issues, but I think I was doing a great job. So why not? Why not just keep going on? So we're back at it. Let's go. Picking things up where we left. So I was talking about The Year in Burgundy by David Kinnard, 2015. I was talking is one of my favorite movies from all those ones that we had to watch. It's a great. I just put the cover right here. It's a great indication. It's a must watch movie. So I was talking how he deals with the issues such as changing consumer preference, competition, the delicate balance between preserving tradition and adapting to modern demands. So on this movie, pretty much they tackle again one of the things that we talked about that are very important is the how the terroir factors influence the quality of Burgundy wines. They're very famous, a very famous region of wine producing. So it's very interesting to understand in this movie, this documentary, how the little changes in the terroir can affect the wine and can affect someone's experience, right? That's the end of the day. That's what the important part. If you enjoyed it, how you feeling, how do you taste it? So I learned a lot from that movie actually. I visited some vineyards and the Museum of Wine in Portugal, and a lot of the things I saw there, I saw related in the movie. It's pretty cool. I'm sorry, excuse me. And this last one, the last movie we had to watch was Uncorked by Prentice Penny, 2020. It's on Netflix. It was the easiest one to find actually. It's a Netflix production, right over a little bit in the COVID-19 area. So it pretty much talks about how a guy from Memphis has this dream to become a sommelier and experience the whole world, the wine world, how he's fanatic about wine and the prejudice he faces when he tells his family that his dream is to get out of Memphis and go be a sommelier, be an expert in wine. So and then the story goes on, right? And then he finally achieves it. Um, but yeah, it's very interesting to understand. And we talked in the first page about the sommelier being expert of this area. This movie was very interesting when I was watching it. I knew it took a lot of work to excel in 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 this profession, but this movie completely just expanded my mind about how much work and knowledge you have to put in to be excellent sommelier and to dominate the all the areas and how wine is changing now. Um, in the past, we can see wine related to to fancy people, to only to the rich, to the elite, and this movie was a little taste of the prejudice that you of course in the movie exaggerated, but how it is interesting that wine is related to the elite of the social scales in our society, and I think more and more in these times that we live right now, wine is getting more popular, and people are are understanding and tasting it, and understanding that the experience it's for everyone. Of course, you can incorporate, elaborate, have a very fancy dish, or you can just have it like I said it before that I do, just to de-stress and just to have one glass, just to look at your body and feel how you're feeling, relax, or have a good experience with your mate or by yourself. Nonetheless, I think it was really cool. This last movie was the most recent all of the other ones that we watched because it targeted this very specific subject that it was actually very interesting and we can see in our day to day we can relate. And to finish, here are references, all of the references, all of the searching I had to do to put up this great presentation. Most of these references comes from the journals that I had to do throughout the semester. So this presentation, this final project, was pretty much putting all the information that I learned during all the semester into one uh, piece of work. And it's kind of nice to see how much knowledge I acquired during 16 weeks of class, and how much of this knowledge I'm already putting um, into existence. Right, when I'm going out with my girlfriend or with my friends or even my family, they're quite impressed of how much progress I made, and I owe that to Professor Chuck. And again, this was all a big compound, a big the word just ran out of my mouth. Again, my first language is Portuguese, but it's a big mix of all the journals that we had to go through this semester, and I put in chronological order of the process that we had to learn, because as I'm teaching you guys and showing you what I learned, I understand that Professor Chuck gave us all those exercises in that order for a reason, right? All the knowledge that we're acquiring in that order was key to make it to make us ready to understand the last movie and to understand the tasting and all this more specific knowledge. Anyway, thank you all for watching until here. Thank you, Professor Chuck. If you're looking and grading it, your class was special. It's probably one of my favorites in my college career. I hope I did a good job, and I acquired a lot of knowledge during the semester. It's very tough to put in only one presentation, but I hope you like it. And yeah, thank you so much. Thanks to you, I'm a better boyfriend, a better friend, and a son, a better part of my family. So it's great. We're having wonderful moments. Again, thank you for watching, and I hope you can apply all this knowledge into your life as well. Thank you.